Keep reminding yourself that despite your anxiety feelings, you can and will do okay. After all, everyone makes mistakes, and you'll make mistakes too. But so what? All that proves is that you're human. Everyone loses their place when reading, and their train of thought when they're speaking. Everybody. So why do you think this is so catastrophic and awful? It isn't. It's merely human. It's okay to be human and make mistakes. And when we make mistakes, so what? It really, truly is no big deal. The earth is not going to end based on whether you think you did a good or a bad job at public speaking. In fact, no one 50 years from now will ever know you even made a presentation. It's just no big deal at all. We hassle and torture ourselves and worry ourselves to death so that we can't enjoy life. And for what? Over something that isn't even important, that no one is going to remember a few years later down the road. We need to think differently and turn those ants' thoughts around. When you do something, feed your brain the rational and realistic truth. Don't get trapped with the I'm still afraid to's and I'm scared to's. If you stop saying something is scary and replace the statement by saying the situation is challenging, eventually your brain and your behavior come together and agree. You have learned to rethink based on your self-talk, added to the fact that you carried through and performed the activity. Most situations in life are not really scary. We have just interpreted them that way for a long period of time, and they are settled deeply into our brain. So now, as we continue to move forward, we interpret these situations more rationally and realistically. A rational statement and viewpoint about a situation eventually changes the original ant's feelings, and then anxiety can no longer get in our way to disrupt our lives. Turn the tables on those ants. Your brain hears everything you say. Make sure you are telling it the truth. Make sure you are being realistic and accurate. Don't say you can't do something, because most of the time you can. Tell your brain the truth. Turn the tables on those ants. Whatever you say, your brain will hear. Whatever your brain hears, it will believe. Now, this needs to be a common sense belief, of course, but your brain is quite literal. If you say and repeat for years that you hate something, your brain believes that you hate it. You reinforce this hate and all the anxiety you have about the social situation every time you say you hate it. We must turn the tables on the ants. Your brain will hear and believe rational thoughts just as well as it believes negative and irrational thoughts. So let's tell it the truth from now on and turn our back on lying ants' beliefs and feelings. At this point, I want to briefly speak to you again about what is going on in your brain. I found that people find it very helpful to know that things are really going on up there that will help change your thoughts and feelings for good. This next handout does not contain new material, but it bears repeating from a new perspective. Look at it with me now. It is called Changing Brain Chemistry Permanently. When ants' thoughts come, step 1, be honest. Call the intrusive, unwanted, negative thoughts and feelings what they really are: pathological liars and bullies. They try to scare us, but really have no authentic power over us. They are thoughts we have picked up or inherited from somewhere else that are not a part of us, and these feelings lie because there's really no reason for us to feel anxious. Step 2. When you are honest with yourself, it won't make your unwanted negative thinking and behavior go away immediately, but it will prepare you to change your responses. Step 3. When you change your behavior, you are literally changing your brain. Ask yourself these questions. Why do these automatic negative thoughts and feelings keep bothering me? Why don't they just go away? The answer is because of the way our brains are constructed. Our brains have been thoroughly conditioned through repeated negative thoughts and traumatic emotions. You are not generating your own automatic negative feelings. They are occurring because they have been conditioned into your brain repeatedly over a long period of time. Before you began cognitive therapy, your brain had a strong neural pathway that associated many social situations with anxiety. Over time, it becomes a habit to go down pathways that bring up negative thoughts and anxious emotions. The more this happens, of course, the more the brain is reinforced to respond in anxiety mode. Thus, the anxiety becomes an ingrained habit. Changing your responses to these anxious feelings and shifting to useful and constructive thoughts and behaviors will, over time, create new, healthier brain pathways. As the brain starts to send its messages through new pathways or associated neurons, the anxiety feelings begin to fade and become easier to control. Step 4. Do something else. When you change your behavioral responses or the way you act by focusing your attention on something useful and constructive, you are breaking up the vicious cycle of anxiety. Do something else when anxiety thoughts and feelings occur. Don't just sit there. Get up, get going, get moving. Don't wallow in the mire. Refuse to let the ants take control. You know better. Get up, get active, move onward and ahead. This is the no pain, no gain step. You must become active. You cannot stay passive. Remember, when you change your thoughts and behavior, you are also changing the neural pathways in your brain. Step 5. See reality for what it is. Don't take your symptoms at face value. They don't always mean what they say they mean. They can be liars. When you see reality more clearly and can devalue the lying, you are strengthening your new brain pathways and putting another nail in the anxiety coffin. Doesn't that sound good? Putting another nail in the anxiety coffin. With each and every handout, and with each and every time you reinforce the handout concepts, you are driving another nail into the anxiety coffin. So please continue and keep up the good work. Most of us with social anxiety believe we have difficulty in making small talk with other people and in mingling with others in a crowd. Let us look at 2 handouts that deal with interpersonal relations and making small talk. The first one is called mingling. When you attend a social gathering, have a realistic attitude. Keep in mind it takes at least 2 people to talk. You are not responsible for silences, and there's nothing wrong with having silences. It's no big deal. If you feel you've run out of things to say, shake hands with the person. Say, "I'm glad I got to meet you, Mike. Please excuse me. I see a friend that I need to go rescue." Or, "I need to get some refreshments." Or, "The smoke is really bothering me in here. I need to go outside for a few minutes and clear my eyes." Or, "I need to make a restroom visit." Or anything at all that is legitimate to the situation. You do not need an excuse. You are just being polite. Invite someone else into the conversation that is standing or sitting there alone. If you take the initiative to do this, it will make you feel better and reduce your own anxiety. You never have a rational or legitimate reason to feel uncomfortable or guilty. These are ants' feelings. Reject them and decide to feel okay regardless. This may sound strange at first, but you can rationally decide you will no longer feel uncomfortable or anxious. Decide ahead of time that you won't allow yourself to be uncomfortable. Why should you have to feel out of place? There is no legitimate, rational reason for this. So why do you need to let it happen? Don't. You can stand there all alone if you want and just look around the room. That is not against the law. You are okay. There is nothing wrong with this, and you are entitled to do whatever you reasonably want in these social situations. So stay, and refuse those ants' feelings of anxiety and uncomfortableness. Use the attitudes handout. So what? Who cares? This is no big deal. Focus on other people and note their names, interests, and what they are talking about. If you forget to do this, don't beat yourself up. Just continue on. Next time you'll remember. Slow your speed down as you talk. You will almost always have something to say if you use slow talk and do not speed up. Here's where all the practicing you've done in slow talk pays off. Now you can use slow talk in public, social situations where you feel some anxiety and have it noticeably change your emotions. Sometimes it is hard to remember to do, but when you remember, you will find that slow talk will calm you down, help you remember, and there will always be something in your mind to talk about. Actually, those of us with social anxiety have years of experiences that we've never talked about or shared because we always felt we couldn't mingle. So rationally, we have a lot to say to other people. Remember, this is just small talk. You do not have to try to be interesting or funny. Just make little, small conversations. You can mingle just as well as anyone else. Turn the tables on the ants. For example, say to yourself, "You know, I used to think I couldn't mingle and talk with others very well. But now I'm realizing that I may be better at this than I once thought." Decide again that you will not be uncomfortable in this situation. There is no rational reason for you to let yourself feel this way. Whenever